Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I am Diego Castro. After initially downplaying the Medusa cyber attack, PhilHealth now admits that millions of members' data may have been leaked. The state health insurer previously insisted that their database was quote-unquote intact. But now they are saying that 13 to 20 million users' data might be affected. This is in connection to the Medusa ransomware attack that hit PhilHealth last month. The agency said the figure is just an estimate and that they are checking for duplicates. PhilHealth has issued a notice to the public to check their personal accounts. The agency is also looking into whether affected members can have their PhilHealth numbers changed.
We hope that you have taken the precautionary measures that we have indicated in our public notification po. What we can only do is really notify them on the data that were leaked so that they can be made aware of what they need to do.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is still clueless as to why Malacanang decided to suspend the implementation of the Maharlika Investment Fund. BSP Governor Eli Remolona told reporters that he was never included in any discussion that led to the decision. The BSP is one of the funding sources for Maharlika together with Land Bank and the Development Bank of the Philippines. Asked on whether the remitted funds will be returned while the MIF is on hold, Remolona said contributions made to the fund will remain. He said, quote, "As far as I know, it is as a suspension of the IRR and not a cancellation of the fund." Meanwhile, a former central banker believes the remitted funds to the MIF should be returned. Speaking to the big story, former BSP Deputy Governor Diwa Ginigundo said returning the 75 billion pesos in combined remittance to the Land Bank and DBP will allow them to replenish their capital. Both government banks sought regulatory relief after transferring their share of the seed money to the Maharlika Fund.
Their capital base was reduced by so much. And at the same time, their capital adequacy ratio will also be affected in the process. So that would constrain them from either accelerating their lending or at least sustaining the pace of lending that they've been used to do in the past period.
Ginigundo also flagged fiscal sustainability issues concerning the funding for MIF. Malacanang earlier exempted Land Bank from remitting dividends to the national government shortly after its contribution to the Maharlika Fund. Ginigundo said it's possible for the DBP to seek the same exemption, leaving government with reduced revenues.
The government will be constrained, it will be forced to seek some other ways to fund the difference. Either it imposes higher taxes or increase its borrowing to be able to compensate for the lost dividends coming from the two GFIs and also from the BSP itself.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. 18 agro-exchange students from Israel are back in the country after witnessing firsthand the war between Israel and Palestinian militant group Hamas. Daniel Pawid with the report.
The city of Ashkelon in Israel is among those that suffered the most in the war between Hamas and Israeli forces. This is located near the Gaza Strip, which is the center of the conflict. Aside from overseas Filipino workers in Ashkelon, this group of agro-exchange students from Pampanga was also caught in the middle of the attacks. But on Tuesday, the 18 students were able to return safely to the Philippines. Though they are feeling relieved, the students admit that they were traumatized by strikes that they've witnessed in Ashkelon.
Nabigla po kasi kami na holiday po yun sa Israel. Then binigla po nila kami na bombahin tapos lumuso po yung mga terrorists. Kaya po medyo takot din po kami during that time. Dahil dun po sa gera medyo na-trauma po kami. Halos lahat po sa amin dito nakakarinig lang po ng sound is parang napaparaning na po kasi po dahil sa nangyari.
Matthew says he almost lost hope of ever seeing his family again. Matthew's family is from Arayat, Pampanga.
Actually po dumating po dun sa point na parang hinihintay na lang po namin na pasukin po nila kami kasi po yung mga terrorists po kalat na po malapit po actually dun sa area po namin kaya sobrang kabado na po kami that time.
Another student, Aldrin, recalled feeling that he was on the brink of death at a bomb shelter, afraid that members of Hamas will invade the shelter.
Talagang dinig po namin yung mga pagsabog and yung kita namin yung mga missiles na ayun, and hindi lang po yun, yung fear din ng terorista kasi pinapasok po talaga yung mga bahay para ayun, para pumatay ng mga tao doon sa Israel.
Pampanga PDRMO Chief Angie Blanco says they have put up a monitoring team for their kabalan left in Israel. Blanco said this was how they were able to locate the students. Pampanga is now conducting a post-war psychosocial intervention for the rescued students.
Pero yung problema, no, pwede tayong magbigay ng post-traumatic stress debriefing. Makikita mo naman sa mukha nila eh. Oo. Parang shock pa sila. Importante yon.
The LGU said they will also open up spots for the students to work as agriculture engineers in the province. Rainiel Pawid, We Are One News.
Defense Secretary Gibo Chodoro hits back at China, calling them the real illegal occupants in the West Philippine Sea. This is after the Chinese government justified its Navy's act of hounding another Philippine vessel in the West Philippine Sea last week. Recall that the BRP Benguet was ferrying supplies to Pag-asa Island on October 13 when a Chinese Navy vessel attempted to block its path and cross its bow. The Chinese Foreign Ministry called this, quote, a lawful and legitimate move against the Philippines, which they said was occupying Pag-asa Island illegally. This was Chodoro's response.
Ayoko naman matawa dahil bastos naman. Pero itanong mo sa kanila kung ano ibig nila sabihin. Sasabihin nila siguro indisputable sovereignty ng South China Sea. Ilan na naniniwala doon? Ang illegal occupation ay kanila. Pag inoccupy ng Pilipinas ang Hainan Island, yun, illegal occupation yun. Pero yun, nandito sila within our 200-mile exclusive economic zone. Sila ang squatter, illegal occupant sila dito.
200 candidates for the upcoming barangay and SK elections are welcoming the official campaign period with disqualification cases filed against them. 7,000 candidates have been given show cause orders, while 200 election hopefuls are facing disqualification for premature campaigning. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia said the disqualification cases will be resolved by October 30. He adds that COMELEC's task force will continue to watch out for election violations as the official campaign period kicks off today. Garcia also urged candidates and voters to respect the country's election and campaigning rules.
Alam niyo po, sa pagsunod pong yan, mapapakita natin ang kahandaan natin na maging leader ng ating barangay. Sa pagsunod at pagtalima, pinapatunayan natin na meron tayong moral ascendancy doon sa mga makakapalang mukha at doon sa mga medyo mga pasaway at mga epal. Doon naman po sa ating mga butante, ito po yung tamang panahon na makapamili tayo ng mga leader ng ating barangay. Ganyan po ka-importante ang barangay natin sapagkat sila po ang frontliners natin sa lahat ng ating problema.
And that's it for this hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.